Hey, and welcome back to the Dancing Italian Urban Farm. Today I am canning ground meat. I actually have some ground beef, some Italian sausage, and some breakfast sausage that I am going to be canning today. Have you ever done this before? No. No, I haven't. You're going to come along with me as I can ground meat for the first time. I have my handy dandy Ball Home Preserving book, and I have opened it up to where it gives you the instructions for canning ground meat. And the first thing that we have to do is we actually have to cook the meat. So I have quite a bit of ground beef, both, oh, you can't even see. Okay, so both of these bags are full of these 1 pound packages of ground beef. It is good stuff. I got it on sale for a fairly decent price. So I'm going to be browning all of this up and canning it. And then in here, I have 2 1 pound packages of breakfast sausage, and then 2 of these packages of sweet Italian ground sausage, which are actually, yeah, these are a pound as well. So we're gonna get all this cooking, and I think I'm just gonna cook these in a big, like, pot, just so I can cook all of this meat together, and then I will do these in some skillets, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so the Italian sausage is doing quite nicely in the cast iron skillet. It is cooking up the way I expected it to. The breakfast sausage, I think, needs a bigger pan. So what I'm thinking I may do is, once the Italian sausage is done, I may go ahead and put that in jars, and then transfer the breakfast sausage to the cast iron skillet. Or, but I'm also thinking, because I still have this entire bag of ground beef that hasn't even gone in the pot yet, I think I may just get out my big roasting pan, put all the ground beef in the roasting pan, and stick it in the oven to cook in the oven. And then I'll just put the breakfast sausage in the pan that the beef is in now and let that cook. So I'm gonna get that situated, and once all the meat is cooked and we get ready to put it in the can, in the jars, and get it in the canner, I will come back and show you that process. Okay, so I still have some ground beef in the oven cooking because I didn't get done, but it should be done in just a couple of minutes. But right now I'm going to get my Italian sausage, my breakfast sausage, and as much ground beef as I can in my canner, and go ahead and run a canner load to get it canned. So I'm doing pints. So I have some warm jars here. I have warm water in my canner. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on so it can stay warm, and I have warm broth. Now I'm going to be using chicken broth for my Italian sausage and my breakfast sausage, and then I'm going to use beef stock, beef broth, for my ground beef. So let me see, this says to pack the meat in the hot jars with 1 inch headspace. Ladle hot broth into jar to cover meat, leaving 1 inch headspace. Remove air bubbles. White rim. center lid, screw on band, put it in the pressure canner, vent steam for 10 minutes, blah, blah, blah. Process pints for 75 minutes. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna be canning these for 75 minutes. All right, so we're going to start and get this canner full. One more thing before I get started on this is that I should get 2 cans of Italian sausage, 2 cans of breakfast sausage out of this because, you know, a pint is a pound, a whole world round kind of thing. But with that inch of headspace, I may have some extra left over. So what I think I'm going to do is I will just put that in a can by itself. And then as that can fills, when I get to that inch of headspace, I will go ahead and just can that as mixed meat and use it for spaghetti sauce or soup or something like that. All right, let's get started. As you can see, I got 3 pints out of 2 pounds of Italian sausage. Hey, I'm not going to complain about an extra pint of meat on the shelf. All right, I'm going to fill these with my warm chicken broth and get them in the canner so they can stay nice and warm. I'll wipe the lids with vinegar, put on the rings. I'll wipe the rims with vinegar, sorry. Put on the lids and my rings and get this in the canner and see how many pints I can get in here. I hope I have enough pint jars. Okay, so I pulled this lid out and the rubber seal on it is messed up, so I'm not going to use this lid. I will put this to be used for something else, but I'm not going to use it to pressure can with. Alright, so I have 14 cans in my canner, 14 pints, which is the max load for my All-American pressure canner. I'm going to go ahead and get the lid on and get it up to temp, and then once it starts to vent, it needs to vent for 10 minutes. And then after that, we will put our weight. I don't like the sound of that. We'll put our weight on. Our weight's in here somewhere. Here it is. We'll put our weight on. And for my altitude, since I'm below 1,000 feet, I'm going to put it on for at 10 pounds of pressure. And once it comes up to the right pressure, which I will pay attention to and watch for, we will set our timer for 75 minutes and we will can these for 75 minutes. Okay, I still have this pan of ground beef plus some still in this pan over here that I will can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out with my slotted spoon and put it in the bigger pan and then put it back in the oven so that it stays warm. My oven is off, but it takes forever for my oven to cool down. So I'm quite confident that it'll stay warm through the canning of this first round and all of that stuff. And if I need to, I can always put it on like 200 or something just to keep the meat warm, so that we can can it. Or I can always heat it up, you know, right before I get ready to can it, do my second canner load of ground meat. But I think it is really kind of cool that out of the think it was 11 pounds, 10 or 11 pounds of meat. I got 14 pints, and that's already in my pressure canner, and I've already got it coming up. So I'm gonna get this ground beef taken care of, and then when my canner starts venting, I'll bring you back and show you how I check for a steady stream, and then we'll set our timer for 10 minutes and then put our weight on. Okay, so I can hear the stream. I know you can't see it, but I can definitely hear it. So I'm going to take a lid. In fact, this is the one I showed you earlier that has the messed up seal. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place it behind the valve, and you can see the steady stream of steam. So now we're going to set our timer for 10 minutes and then come back and put our weight on. Okay, so our timer has gone off, and now I'm going to put on my weight. I am going to put it on 10 pounds of pressure, but check your elevation for what pressure you should use. And I'm gonna put that on there, and the pressure is going to build. I will watch the dial, but I don't rely on the dial. I kind of use both the weight and the dial, and we want to reach about 10-11 pounds of pressure. So we just have to wait now for that to happen. Okay, so we're rocking and rolling. Our pressure gauge is actually at 12, so I'm gonna turn the heat down just a little bit. And I'm going to let the rocking kind of settle because it's going really fast. So I'm going to let it kind of settle a little bit before I start my timer. Okay, so our rocking has slowed down. We're at 11 pounds of pressure on our dial. It doesn't look like it, but we are, I promise. So I'm going to start my timer for 75 minutes, or that's an hour and 15 minutes. And then we'll come back when the timer goes off and let it cool down and everything and pull the jars out. Okay, so my timer just went off, and all I did was turn the eye off, and now I'm going to let it come down off of pressure all on its own. I'm going to wait till that stops jiggling and the pressure has come down as low as it will before I remove the weight from the timer. Alright, so the pressure's come down. I'm going to remove the weight, and the rest of the pressure is going to be released, and we will let it cool down a little bit more, and then we will open her up and pull some cans out, see how well they did. Okay, so here's my first canner load of ground meat. Some of them have already popped, which I'm excited about. So hopefully all of them will seal. But now what I'm going to do is get those pint jars over there washed up and sterilized and ready to go be filled with the rest of that ground beef. These jars are popping. It's making me very happy. But I'm going to get the rest of that ground beef in those cans. I'm hoping it'll all fit in those right there, and I can go ahead and get those canned up. Whatever doesn't fit in those 9 pints is gonna have to be used for something else, because that's all the pint jars I have that are empty. All my other pint jars are full. Oh, they're sealing. That's making me so happy. All right, I'm gonna get those canned up and get the second load run, and when the second load comes out, I will show you everything I have. Okay, so I realized I never came back and showed all the cans together, and they're already on my shelf. So I'm just going to show them to you on your shelf. In fact, I've already used one. I made some chili last night, and it was so easy because I literally grabbed a jar of ground beef. I grabbed 2 pints of beans. I grabbed a quart of corn, and I grabbed a quart of tomato sauce. Threw it all in a pot and heated it up, and bam, I had chili. I had to season it and throw some spices in, but it was fine. Anyway, here's all my cans. So these 3 and part of this one are ground beef. Here's my Italian sausage, and here is my breakfast sausage, and I think there's some ground beef back there as well, because I had a lot of ground beef. I actually wound up doing a second counter load of 10 pints of ground beef. I did find another clean pint jar that was hiding, so I grabbed that up. Now, this layer of fat is really nothing to worry about. You don't need to freak out and think that, you did something wrong, because even though you drain the fat off the meat, you're still going to have some fat. It's not all going to drain off. So that's what that is. So no worries there. And if you really wanted to, you could pull that off when you open the jar if you really don't want that. But yeah, that is my first foray into canning ground meat. And, I'm really pleased. All of my jars sealed. I didn't have any failures this time, which is amazing and awesome. And I'm really happy with the way everything turned out. So thank you for coming along with me on my adventure into canning ground meat. And I hope you click that subscribe button and join us this season for gardening, because there's going to be a lot of gardening videos coming up here soon.